Welcome to Story Hour, a virtual meetup hosted by Wolf and Heron.
Pablo, are you ready?
I'm ready to go. You know, it's been actually outrageously emotional all this time. And while I actually prepare my presentation, I hope that, it comes out of my heart, because that's the way I wanted to lay it out. I realized that, we all talking about what's happening. And I'm like, okay, so what can I do? I don't want to get out and protest, even though, I can do that. But I go like, no, I need to bring a contribution. And this is part of my contribution. And this is actually based on going back to basics, going back to really to the beginning of things, of life. When chaos was brought to order, when God actually started to create things and saying, that those things were actually good. When God actually gave Adam the job of naming the animals, because until then the animals didn't really exist. And so, taking that analogy, I was like, okay, I need to just bring my contribution, and I'm going to incorporate those into basics. And the basic to me is the table, where everything is actually rooted. Because if we think about the table, we think about family, we think about us, parents, children, and this is, my contribution, by actually encouraging, by inspiring everyone, inspiring you, inspiring myself, really to put a name on things, to own it. And I'm actually owning my table, owning my contribution to what we can do to alleviate, the problems that we have at the moment. So I actually started, breaking down, and the different the equation, or the trinity that I realized, and I broke it down about the table. And I realized that, for example, this equation, it comes to food, wine, the table, and the result of these three. And so I broke it down first with food. Being the food is actually is a set of instructions. Food is communication that we give to our bodies to accomplish something. Every food decision is an opportunity to direct and shape our body composition. We humans are the only animals that can actually, in the universe, that can actually express those messages in a very romantic manner through cooking. Cooking is really the bridge to deliver those messages as stories. Food and cooking gives us comfort, survival, entertainment. It makes us, live a really genuine and happy life. And then, the next component, wine. Wine is the soul of this equation, because when wine is actually drunk in a conscious and sacred manner, wine becomes a symbol of accessing a deeper and almost hidden dimension within us. It reveals the lanes of our superconscious mind. Wine is really a reminder of our potential. And no different than the vine brings the best hidden nutrients hidden under the earth. Wine brings the best out of us, out of you. And then the table is really the bridge, the platform to bring everything together. Now, getting together the food, the wine, the table, it becomes in a manifestation of creation, a gift, the sharing aspect of the gift that God has actually given us on the table. Each of them have the power to inspire emotion independently, but when we combine them together, they evoke the power to bring to life nourishment, happiness, growth, healing, and prosperity. It's an open invitation to God's creative system of creation. I strongly believe that if we begin at the table, if we start actually just consciously sitting down and just talking about that pending conversation that we all have, we can actually solve, all the problems that we have. That was my.
Thank you, Pablo. Yay. Okay, lovely. So what are some things that Pablo did well that he should hold on to in his story that we thought were compelling? Go ahead, Milo, and offer your theme interpretation as well, please.
That's a good question. I didn't think about that. But I will say that I invited Pablo today specifically because I suggested the theme to him of focusing, which is because his stories tend to meander a lot. And so I just immediately wanted to make the comment that this story shows significant progress and improvement from the first time. I would just say I never know when Pablo starts. I don't know if you guys get that, but I feel like he's introducing the story and suddenly you're like, oh wait, this is the story. So I would just say, Pablo, make sure you've got like a place that you officially start the story.
Okay, what else? What else should Pablo hold on to that was great about the story? Go ahead, Kara.
Pablo, I think you have always, when you tell your stories, had a really great natural passion in a way. And even though I could feel the preparation, right? I could feel that you were more clear what you were going to say in advance of saying it. And yet you were still able to show that care in the present, which is tough. And why Milo mentioned it earlier. It's hard to be present in your story when it's prepared. And so I think that you did a good job of feeling the experience as you were sharing it.
Mm. Yeah, I would echo that, Kara. Pablo, you always have an amazing amount of heart in your stories, and it comes across very compellingly. So hold on to that because it's quite good.
I would add the word spontaneous to that assessment. He always looks like he's really there doing his thing.
Yeah. No, and those are all great things to hold on to. So that's great. What about opportunities to experiment with or things to try?
I'll go back to Milo's comment. I didn't know when he started either. It kind of just evolved. Eventually, I decided he must be in the story. I'm going to give a piece of advice that my grade 3 teacher told me when I was told to write English essays. You write the essay first. The most important sentence is the first one. And you write it after you've got all the rest of it down to in your head and the whole thing organized. And that really tends to focus your mind and your methodology to open the story, because you've got the whole thing already created. You've got to add the entree, and I think a more punch in the entree is something that would help start his story.
Thank you.
Go ahead, John.
Okay, I have a really zany idea, and Pablo, I think you could pull it off quite nicely. But so again, there wasn't really a character in this narrative, and I was thinking about your passion for food and wine, and it comes across very clearly when you speak. How fun would it be to make a grape the character in your story? And like you think about wine and the way that wine tastes has so much to do with the characteristics of the grapes, which has everything to do with soil conditions and climate, and how that is kind of a weird way of thinking about our shared experience and heritage and stuff. And so you could make you could do this thing where you have a grape as the protagonist, or the central character in your story, and how you are drinking wine with friends or family, and how I would really be interested in seeing you run with that.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
It's fun to personify weird things like that, and a grape is just such a goofy little involved.
It has been actually used a lot. So I've created this character of myself with an apron and glasses. So I'm using that up until today, I think. But yeah, that's great that you're using, because visual is actually extremely important. We humans are extremely visual.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Milo?
So, yeah, I just want to say one more thing. I was thinking about what Steven said with the opening sentence, and I absolutely agree. Mine was deliberate, for example. But with Pablo's stories particularly, I find myself having a bit of a hard time following directly. So just to follow up on Steven's suggestion, the way that I construct essays is just the same, which is the first paragraph or the first sentence of a paragraph usually indicates what you're going to get information about in that paragraph. So maybe when you write your story out, use bullet points and just, make sure you're going through the bullet points so that every time that somebody's kind of wondering where they are in your story, they could be brought right back into it by that specific sentence that you use to explain what's going to be coming.
We often talk about the strategy of echoing. And so I think what you're kind of hinting at there, Milo, is this concept of echoing the structure and making the structure clear to the audience, and then coming back to that structure with the same language over and over again, as a way to give your audience a foothold into what the storyline is. Another thought? We have time for one more thought. Go ahead, Kara.
I just want to briefly build on John's suggestion there, and that when I was listening to the story, I did feel like the table that you were setting was your characters. And so if that's true, yes, imagine what it would be like to take that further. Do you name the bread as you're ripping it open? Do you name the wine? Do you talk about the look and the feel as if they were people? So just think about bringing that to life for us more, because that is your setting and those are your characters.
Yeah, I think that's a really cool experimental idea.
Visit wolfandheron.com to find out more about our story hours.